Hey supporters, my name is Akia, and as you already probably know, I am a fiber artist. I make things with crochet, and I also sew things as well. But what you might not know is that I've had MS for 10 years. Um, so I get a lot of questions about like MS, probably more often than I do about my sewing and my crochet, because a lot of people actually um, go to fiber art when they have disabilities. So I just want to talk a little bit about what MS is. So MS is a central nervous system disease. Well, it's actually an autoimmune disease that affects your central nervous system. Um, So basically, what happens is the coating on your nerves and your central nervous system, which is your brain, your spine, and your eyes. Um, they're basically ripped of that coating on that the thing that coats it. So basically, my white blood cells attack my brain, my spine, and my eyes. For you to visualize like what's going on in my brain and stuff would be like maybe like a charger cord, right? And you know how like sometimes your charger cord doesn't work once that first layer of coating is stripped of it? Well, that's like basically what's happening with my brain, my eyes, and my spine. So so once the coating is stripped, just like in a charger, the it can't send the signal to work, and that's basically what happens in MS. Like it can't, your nerves cannot send the signal to each other to work, if that makes sense. And there's four different types of MS. Um and they just because you start off with like one stage of MS doesn't mean like you're going to go to the next stage. It's not like a lot of diseases where there's stages and you're going to go to the next stage and you're going to go to the next stage. No matter what, you're always going to progress. Um, the stages are more of so like where you started and like what can be seen on an MRI. So symptoms include like um, shakes, balance issues, memory, uh, falls, um, just like a lot. Basically, anything that your brain controls, like you can be affected depending on where the spots are, where your white blood cells have attacked. So, like, if it's attacking more of your spine, you'll probably have a lot more physical issues. If it's attacking certain parts of your brain, you're gonna have more like maybe like mental like issues, um, stuff like you know what I'm saying. So with MS, you can only be diagnosed by three ways, and all of them usually have to go together. Actually, I think four ways, and they all have to like go together. So, first way is a brain MRI, which is why a lot of people who have MS experience symptoms long before they get diagnosed. Because nobody's really just like, oh yeah, you're 20. Why do you need an MRI? So um, the first one is your brain MRI. They usually do a brain and a spinal MRI. Next way is you have to get a spinal tap. So basically, they stick a needle in your spine and take out some of your spinal fluid, and they analyze it. So third thing would be they check your white blood cells. Usually, if you're going through a relapse, then your white blood cells will be elevated because it's like on attack mode. So they analyze your white blood cells. Usually, like I said, your white blood cells are elevated. Then the fourth way is then they look at all your symptoms. So if you have all four of those things, usually you probably have MS. And they have to do it this way because there are a lot of diseases that can cause some of your issues. But when they put all four together, usually you have MS. So there's no cure for MS. There's going to be people that say they have a cure for it. There's no cure. You may feel better. You might go through times where you feel better, where you find your baseline, and looking at the whole body, because a lot of modern medicine does not look at the whole body. But when you look at the whole body, yeah, there are certain things that can help you feel better because you are a whole person, if that makes sense. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you are a whole person, not just your brain and your spine. That makes sense. You know, you have other organs. So like I was saying before, there's no cure. And you will always progress no matter what. So the medication that you usually take when you are going through like a relapse would be steroids. Usually IV, because that's the easiest way to stop it, the easiest and quickest way to stop it. They also have this thing called Actar gel, which I have used because steroids make me crazy. Okay, steroids are no joke. You can use that, or you can, or they give you like a whole bunch of pills. And when I mean a whole bunch of steroid pills, I mean you're taking 30 I can't say it. Y'all know what I'm saying. 30. So you're taking like 30 pills for however long until until on your brain MRI it's not bright, because it lights up like on your MRI. When they look at your brain, it's either like a dark spot or a bright spot, and that determines that you have MS. The dark spot are the scars, meaning that this is from a relapse that has happened already, and your brain and your body stop attacking that part of your brain. But when it shows up bright, that means that you're actively in a relapse. If that makes sense. So the steroids and the Actar gel is used so that your body will stop attacking your brain. So basically, if you take the IV steroids, then you will either have to go to an infusion center or you will have to go to the hospital, depending on like how bad your relapse is, because sometimes they do want you in the hospital, because if you're falling, then they don't want you at home. Sometimes they just send you home with a line in, and then a nurse will just come to your house and help you do it, or they will teach you how to do it, or they may do it for you. It usually lasts about 5 to 7 days of IV steroids. And then with the Actar gel, with the Actar gel, it is something that you have to do yourself. Basically, because this is something, actually it just got approved for MS. I was taking it before it was approved for MS because it's been approved for other autoimmune diseases, but just recently it got approved for MS. But basically you have to call a specialty pharmacy, see if your insurance will approve it. They approve mine because, like I said, I am crazy on steroids, like crazy, and then like I get super big. It's no joke. So, and very emotional, and then I get like bumps everywhere. It's just like, it's hell. But the Actar gel, basically you have a nurse come to your house, you order it, a specialty pharmacy, they send it to you through the mail, and then it's a a shot. And I don't remember how long you have to take the shot. So those are just basically how they try to stop the relapse. Eventually they will stop, but it's just they want to stop it as soon as they find out that your brain is lighting up, because then that will lower the damage to your central nervous system. So that's just so with MS, because you still, no matter what, you still have like the scarring from it, you will have problems, and that's when the disability come in play. So because of those scars, now that's when your brain can't function properly. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? I hope I'm explaining it, because it's a very complex disease. I know it. I live it. So basically, like, once your brain is being attacked, there's gonna be issues. Like the falls, the shakes. Like me personally, I drop a lot of things. Don't have glass in your house, because like glass plates, because you might not have many by the time I leave. So with MS, you have to take other medications like nerve medication, mental medications, because it's a very depressing thing to go through, because you're just like relapsing all the time, like, you know what I'm saying? And because the chemicals in your brain are just like not the same anymore, if that makes sense. So you would take other medications for all the other issues. So like I was saying, like, you'll take some for the emotional depression. You'll take medicine for to help you with your walking. With MS, we often use like assistant devices. So like arm canes, or I can't think of what the real name is for it, but like arm canes, or like I have a regular cane. I've used walkers, wheelchairs. It just depends on what's going on with my body at the moment. Other medications, like I said, the nerve medication, emotional medication, pain medicine. With people with MS, we're like always tired, like always fatigued, but never tired, which is crazy. And so yeah, you'll take other medications. I've probably taken a lot of medications because I've had it for 10 years. And the first 5 years of MS is the hardest, because you're trying to figure out, like, what the heck? Like, why am I falling? Why am I having seizures? Like, you're trying to, like, really figure out, like, your place. Like, because nothing's going to be the same ever again. Like I said, for most people with MS, it takes them a while to get diagnosed. I was diagnosed, like, I had symptoms for years. Like, I can remember having the same issues that I have now as a child. And, like, my sister brought this up to my parents, like, not too long ago. It was like, that's why a kid used to always fall. That's why a kid used to always be so tired. And I used to get in trouble for these things, So, how I was diagnosed was kind of crazy. Basically months before I had went to the hospital because my eyes weren't right, told me that I'm fine, right? So then months later, I started having like extreme depression. Didn't know why, just so depressed. Went and got medication for it. And then a couple months after that, I started having this weird symptom. Like, basically, because for MS, usually like one side is more affected than the other. For me, it's my left side. So, basically, my left side would like basically like spasm, kind of like, but I would like, it's so hard to explain, but I like fall to the ground, and it would be so painful. So my heart rate would go up to like 170. Yeah, 170. And it's like it's just like a weird symptom to explain. But like I kind of hid it from people because I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, I'm dying. I don't want to tell anybody. So basically, what happened was me and my best friend was on our way to my little cousin's birthday party, and I was driving, and this happened to me, and I'm like, and she's like, girl, no, you can't be driving me like this. So yeah, that night I had actually went to the hospital. And when I went to the hospital, they were like, they did, ran blood tests. They didn't do an MRI. They just ran blood tests. My blood work showed that there was something going on because, so when I went to the hospital, like I said, my blood work showed that my white blood cells were elevated. They did a CAT scan. It showed nothing. It was during a holiday, so they were just like, there's not much we can do for you here. Go home, call a neurologist on Tuesday, because it's like the weekend, on Tuesday, and set up an appointment to see if we can figure out what's going on with you. Mind you, at this point, my anxiety is up, so it's happening more often. But it's not on demand. It just happens. I could breathe the wrong way and it will happen. I could laugh, I could cry, and it will happen. So I went home, and it was, I'm crying. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. They did give me steroids, so they knew something was going on, but they were just like, there's nothing we can do about it, type thing. So I couldn't really drive because it would just happen randomly. And when it would happen, I would just like, because it's my left side, so I would just like have to hold the wheel with the one and just be like, and let it happen, and then it will go away after like maybe 30 seconds. But I just could not take it. So I went to another hospital that same night, or maybe like the next day. I won't say the same night, but within 24 hours. So I went to another hospital, and they were just like, well, the other hospital said that, because I brought them papers, like, I am dying. Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm dying. And the other hospital was just like, well, what do you think we can do about it? I said, I don't know. Y'all could do something about it. And, like, at this point, I was, like, very upset because y'all making it seem like I'm crazy when y'all see that there is... So, like, y'all see that there's... my white blood cells are elevated. Y'all are telling me to go see a neurologist. The CAT scan is showing that I'm not having a stroke. So, like, y'all can do something. So that night, like, I basically forced this doctor to treat me. I was like, you have to do something. Like, how am I supposed to live life like this? I can't, because it was happening way more. So they gave me some medicine to calm myself down and basically knocked me out. And by the time I woke up, so during that time that I was asleep, they gave me an MRI. By the time I woke up, the doctor, like, they actually end up putting me in a room, not telling me anything because I was asleep the whole time. Which is actually kind of scary now that I think about it. Like, that's... Okay, I also didn't let you guys know my age at the time. I was 21. I had just turned 21 the end of December. By the time that I was diagnosed, it was April. So, what is that, 4 months after my 21st birthday. So, I kind of felt like they thought I was crazy, even though they, like I said, they had all the information that they needed to, like, move forward. But when I got into my room, I'm still kind of, like, out of it. And the doctor just came up and was like, I'm so sorry. I did not believe that there was anything wrong with you. I'm so sorry. And I'm just like, what you talking about? Am I dying? Like, tell me what you're talking about. Am I dying? That's what I need to know. So basically he told me, like, he was 99.9% sure that I have MS because of my age, the symptoms, and my brain. Um, but we had to make sure with the spinal tap, which wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's actually not as bad. Well, at least for me, it wasn't that bad. A lot of people, it gives them anxiety. I mean, I can imagine you're getting a needle in your spine. I did get did I get the headache? I think I can't remember. I don't think I got the headache like everybody else gets. Um, but yeah, that's my diagnosis story. So yeah, maybe I'll start posting more about like how MS affects my ability to crochet and live life, like my regular life. Because like I said, my left side is affected. Um, so I don't have as much strength on my left side as my right side. And I have a lot of memory problems. I do have a lot of problems when it comes to MS. I'm good. I feel like as a black woman, we're really good at like basically just saying we're okay. I mean, like, because what else we gonna do, you know? And the first 5 years was very hard for me. Very, very hard for me. Starting new drugs because I didn't even go into the medication that you take when you are on MS. So some of the drugs that you take for MS would be called disease modifying therapies or disease modifying drugs. So these drugs are meant to like stop your white blood cells, which you do need your white blood cells. I'm telling you, you do need them, and because your white blood cells are what protects your body. You know, um, so they basically, but these medications like takes away some of your white blood cells so that it won't attack your brain and your body. Um, and they can be really harsh. You get infections a lot. And it's something that it's not a cure. You're gonna have to take them for the rest of your life if that's what you choose. Some people choose not to. Some people do choose to take the DMDs. But yeah. So the DMDs come three ways. I'm I've had it for a long time, which I would say like I'm older, so but like new medicines have came out, but they all come in three ways. So one way would be pill. When I was first diagnosed, there were a few pills on the market um, that had just came into the market. The second way, which is the oldest way, the oldest way would be a shot. So they have medications that are shots, which are more, I wouldn't, which are easily, you tolerate them more easily because the older medicines you can tolerate better. And then the third way would be like an IV infusion. I personally have tried all three. So the first medication I tried was Tecfidera, which is a pill once a day. Did not work. My brain was still lighting up, and it kept lighting up. So that was the first medication I took. Then I went to Tysabri, which is an infusion that you take once a month, and you have to go to an infusion center. Special nurses have to give it to you. I end up getting I'm a hard to stick, so I end up getting a Mediport put in, and I end up getting sepsis 3 times. I have tried Copaxone, which I couldn't give myself a shot every day. Like, it was painful. The symptoms are wild. And then I did Avonex for I did Avonex the longest. Basically, what I would have to do is give myself a shot once a week. So, like I was saying, Avonex once a week. You get flu-like symptoms with it. I did that one the longest. And it was probably the best one out of all of them. I could tolerate the most. But giving yourself a shot once a week is actually a lot. That gives you flu-like symptoms. So I would do it on Friday and the whole weekend would be gone. because I'm sick from the medication. So I also took, what is that one called? I can't remember, but I'll put it in here somewhere. But it's a once every 6 month infusion, and I got extremely sick after taking it. So I basically failed on a lot of the medications. Mind you that I was diagnosed when I was 21. So this is happening in my early and mid 20s. So it was a lot to deal with, and it still is a lot. But a lot of medications have been used for MS. Like a lot of the infusions, but used off label. So a lot of these medications are actually used with chemo, if they're not chemo. Some of them are chemo because they're trying to take away your cells, so your white blood cells, so that it won't attack your brain. But I basically failed on a lot of them, and because either my brain is still, I don't tolerate it, or it's not helping. Being diagnosed with like something like MS when you're so young does make you see the world differently. I don't see the world like everybody else, because I live a different life than normal people. And I also look fine, even though I am not fine 90% of the time. But yeah, it does make you see the world differently. It makes you, some people like don't want to talk about it. They'll have MS and will never tell anybody. Me personally, I'm telling everybody I have MS because I don't want people to make me feel bad for not being able to do something that normally someone my age would be able to do. So just to allow me grace, and like sometimes I'm like, am I crazy? I need to like, let you know like I'm not crazy. I'm just letting you know like I have. So actually I was gonna post this video as like parts on my TikTok and Instagram, but I was just like, why not just post it to my YouTube channel? So I feel like I'm going to talk a little bit more about having MS, but like talking about it sometimes can make me emotional. So I don't I will talk about it, but like just knowing everything that I've been through makes me emotional. But yeah, I just started a GoFundMe for like to help with like all the things that I need to continue crocheting and just like my regular life. I started a GoFundMe. I will post the link in somewhere. And yeah, if you would like to donate, then that would be so much appreciated. So, yeah, I'm gonna post a link somewhere in the description box, most likely, if you're watching this on YouTube. But thank you guys for letting me kind of trauma dump on you. I know y'all like, you always be trauma dumping on us, but yeah, this is my real like life. This is what I go through every day. And like I said, I will start posting like more. But if you like want to watch something about MS, like a movie, like a documentary, Selma Blair has MS, and she actually did a wonderful documentary that I do recommend if you want to like learn more about MS. And some of the things, like her documentary is about, so her documentary is about her life and how she went through stem cell transplant, because a lot of people do that with MS. Personally, I'm not doing that. But a lot of people, like when you have MS, you kind of get desperate to do things, and like stem cells research is still like still coming up, if that makes sense. Like at least for MS. So maybe my next video when I talk about MS, I'll like talk more about actually how it affects my crochet and who I am as an artist and my sewing and all of that. So yeah, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment below. Yeah, so my phone was running out of space before I got to say what I want you guys to comment. So let me know if you have a disability, or a chronic illness, regardless if it's MS or some other autoimmune disease, cancer. Let me know down below, and like, you know, how you deal with it, because this is an ongoing battle. Like I said, I'm gonna have it forever, and it's progressive, so I'm learning every day actually. But yeah, let me know. Maybe we can create a community of us, and just supporting each other through our creative journey in a world that's not made for us. So thanks for watching, you guys.